And we are live once again with the PickFu podcast. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a lovely, rainy Thursday here in New York City. And it's about 85 degrees and raining. So I don't know what to think of that. We got Mike Jackness here. Mike, how are you?
It's 85 and sunny here in Vegas, but that's pretty typical.
I see you rubbing in a little bit. We'll take that. That's fine. That's fine. But Mike, welcome. It's a pleasure having you on. And I know we're going to talk about a lot of fun, actionable topics for Amazon sellers and brands on the podcast today. But for anyone who doesn't know you, kindly introduce yourself. Tell us more about you, how you got into this space, and all the good things you got going on.
Sure, and I'll do my best not to start coughing in the middle of all this. I've been sick for about a week, so you get to hear my raspy version of all this. But yeah, my name is Mike Jackness, as you mentioned. I've been in e-commerce since 2012. We used to be in the affiliate marketing space and owned a bunch of, kind of keyword domains, high-power domains, whatever you want to call them. And one of the domains that we owned was treadmill.com, and decided to turn that into an e-commerce site. And that's how I got into e-commerce. It was kind of a walk in the park, like quite literally. I was on a hike and decided I didn't want to be in affiliate marketing anymore. I wanted to start selling stuff instead. So turned that from an affiliate marketing site into an e-commerce site, which was drop shipping, sold it in 2015, and then bought Ice Wraps, which I still own to this day. And since 2015, I've been developing my own products, starting my own brands, buying other brands, reselling them. It's been quite the journey. And last year in 2023, we sold all but one of our remaining e-commerce brands. So we're down to just the one.
Awesome. Nice. So then are you, for people that don't know you, are you in the private label space only? Are you in the educational space? Are you in the guru mastermind space? Like,
yeah.
What's the forte?
Yeah, I mean, we are in the private label space. We don't sell anybody else's products. We do have, I guess you can call us a guru. I really hate that term because that typically has a very negative connotation to it, and I don't think myself as a guru at all. But we are one of the original kind of podcasts and blogs and info things in the e-commerce space. I mean, we've been doing that since 2015 or 16. We started it, and 550 podcast episodes and millions of downloads later. But we're not really salespeople. We don't talk about selling the dream, never have. Our thing has always been e-commerce is hard. And if you want to kind of be on our journey, we're happy to have you along with us. And so, and I think, e-commerce is harder than it's ever been. I mean, it's getting more and more frustrating by the day, it feels like. And, we definitely are not go do this and get rich quick kind of people. Because if you're looking to do that in e-commerce, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
So I talk to people all the time, and, I always ask, so are the days of sitting on a beach with a laptop making residual money while I sip a Mai Tai over? Because a lot of people that are getting into the Amazon space, they think that that's what it's like to sell on Amazon. But what's your opinion? Because I know that it's not. It's very, very hard, especially in 2024.
I mean, can you do it remotely, completely, and work from the beach? Probably, but it's not passive income, right? It's not that dream of I'm just sipping on Mai Tais on the beach and money's just falling from the sky while I'm doing nothing. It's far from that. Now, can you run a completely remote business or a lifestyle business? I mean, sure, but you can make it whatever you want. But it's it just, when I got into this in Amazon specifically in 2015, you basically could develop that kind of business. I mean, that was not the path that I was on, but I mean, there was just a lot more meat on the bone. There was very little competition. There was, the cost for PPC was either zero or close to zero. You could ask for a review in exchange for a free product. There was all these crazy things you could do.
The good old days.
The good old days. And it was easier. I mean, it still wasn't easy back then, but it was easier.
Sure.
And but now it's far from that. I mean, I think that you have to bring your A game no matter what, your A++ game. Really high quality imagery, lifestyle photos, really good copy, highly optimized PPC, good relationships with influencers, probably some external traffic, something that's got IP and is defensible. And, you know, and even then it's still difficult. It's still
Yeah.
not just, I'm going to sit around and do nothing, because, while you're sitting around doing nothing, there's all kinds of people all around the world that are doing the exact opposite. They're working their ass off to come take your lunch, right? And it doesn't take long for them to catch up to you. And when you see them in the rearview mirror, it's already too late. They're already on your tail.
That's it. That's the Gordon Gecko. They're going to eat your lunch, right?
That's
So,
right.
It's funny that people say that about sitting on the beach, and you're right. You can work remotely from the beach, but it's just a different dynamic that you would think, right? I would love like a meme to be what you think it's like selling on Amazon at the beach, sipping a Mai Tai. It's someone so casually nonchalant. What it's really like, someone with like the iPhone, the laptop, another screen open, on the phone, stressing out, a Seller Central. It's never going to be something that's like super easy. But yeah, Mike, let me, while we're waiting for some questions and stuff like that, what I want to do is kind of pull up my screen here. Let me see if I can add it to the stage. Beautiful. So what I tell people a lot is like, let's take a look at men's supplements. That's something that's in my search right here. What's one thing, Mike, that you noticed from this SERP result page that you're probably not used to?
There's no ads.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because I'm not using an ad blocker. I'm using a new browser called Arc Browser. And right out of the box, it comes with ad blockers inside of it.
Interesting.
So typically I'm not, and this is my standardized browser, right? But now if I bring in a Chrome window here, right? And I go to Amazon and I type in men's supplements. Here we go. We're getting the brand ads, we're getting the sponsored product ads, all that kind of stuff. So my question to you is, how do you feel the landscape would change if these types of browsers came right off the rip and right out of the gate standard with ad blockers in them? How is that going to change how people are selling on Amazon?
Well, first of all, I think that Amazon would figure out a way to get around the ad blockers and still serve ads, because there's no way they would let that, what is that, $32 billion or whatever the hell it is, a quarter in ad revenue go away. So I think that would be short-lived. But what was the actual question? How would it change the?
Yeah, how would the landscape change? Like, so when I ask other people about it, they would pivot right to more mobile, right? Because on mobile, there's a good portion of people, like even myself, I shop on mobile on the mobile app, and you can't block ads internally in a mobile app, right? So that's a fair game for there's no blocking there. Do you feel that people, if this takes off, right, where normally it looks like this, but then people are starting to see more just organic, no ads, do you think this shift would be more towards mobile? Because I don't know about you, because most of my stuff I purchase is on my mobile phone.
Yeah, I think it was 45, 55, 55%. I think now mobile is what Amazon claims. From a seller standpoint, the shift would be interesting, because how the hell would you launch a product, right? I mean, PPC, for all of its faults, is kind of a shortcut to getting that early traffic. And so it would make it a lot more difficult. You'd have to rely 100% on external traffic, I guess, to get those sales, because otherwise you wouldn't rank. And when you're talking about something as competitive as med supplements, how the hell do you break into the top 4 or 8 up there to be above the fold? So I think it would change the game drastically. Where you're relying on 45% less traffic, because again, 55% I think is what Amazon claims is their mobile shopping sales. And as you said, because you're like native in their app, right? I mean, at least that's how I shop on Amazon on my mobile phone. I'm using the Amazon app.
Yeah.
And I guess in lieu of, I think it would be tough to like come up with a third party app that would interface with Amazon to allow you to like have all your credit card info stored and everything else. I never say never. That would block ads, but I don't know. I mean, the reality is I don't think those types of things are going to take off. I mean, there's been all these fringe type browsers and search engines and other things that have popped up over the years. Like first one that comes to mind is like this, DuckDuckGo or something like that, or
DuckDuckGo,
just Google or Chrome and Internet Explorer, Edge, or whatever the hell it's called on PC. It's just so supplanted in like everything, right? I mean, it's like, or it's going to be Safari. It's like the default thing installed on the Mac. It's like, it's just very difficult to get people to change their ways. Like, I mean, for me, like I am pretty married to Chrome because of like all my plugins that I use for it, right? And so, as obviously awesome as it would be to have an ads-free experience, am I going to really install a third browser on my computer just to block ads on the few sites that I get some ads on?
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of where I've been very, gun shy with pulling the trigger for, I've been stuck in the Chrome with my extensions, with my Jungle Scout, with my this, with my that, right?
Yeah.
And then I've had Chrome, but then I had Safari because it's just very snappy. It's very native. It's not a RAM hog. Chrome is a very big RAM hog, right? But I found Arc browser, and we're not sponsored by Arc, but Arc, if you're out there and you want to, I've been plugging you guys a lot. Arc browser is built on Chromium, right? Which is what Chrome is. So any Chrome extension works with Arc natively, right?
Really interesting.
But it's super lightweight and not a RAM hog. And the different profiles it has in it. So you could literally be in one section for personal and swipe over, and now you're in business, and then swipe over and be in another client's logins, and then swipe over. So like literally it has a lot of cool things. But that was the biggest thing, that it was built on Chromium, so all of your Chrome extensions work, and it's not a RAM hog.
Very cool. I'm gonna go contact them and try to get a sponsorship for the PickFu podcast.
Yeah. Justin said, John Aspinall got me switched to Arc. It's pretty sweet. I'm on a mission to get everyone switched over to Arc because it is just, you can, especially in e-com, right? Like you have so many sellers and so many brands, they have their Chrome extensions, right? They need to have them. The Jungle Scout, the Helium 10, the Camel, the whatever it is, right? So you don't want to switch. You're stuck to Chrome because of that. But Chrome, if you've ever taken a look at the statistics or the numbers of the diagnostics, Chrome is huge. It's a lot of bloat and it takes up a lot of RAM. So for me, I'm always looking for new ways to productivity hack my life, whether it's a new notes app or anything like that. But yeah, I think Arc is definitely something compelling to take a look at. But let me just bring this back up, Mike. So what do you think of like merchandising? And we'll stay on supplements right now, right? But how do you feel the Amazon's terms of service has changed, right, for guidelines? So it used to be, plain white background, just the product, nothing else on there. And that's still pretty true for, very locked down categories like, footwear, apparel. There's lots of things you can't do with that. But it seems like supplements is the Wild West, where Amazon's letting a lot of things fly, like outside the packaging, showing some boxes, showing ingredients. What have you seen as far as that goes for either this category or any other category you've seen before?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's, just like anything else in life, there's white hat, there's black hat, and there's probably something gray. And I think a lot of these things are kind of gray, right? Like having a couple extra pills down there, is that really egregious? Not really. Is it against terms of service by the letter of the law? Yeah. But I see this in every category that we're in. We're definitely guilty of this. I mean, we'll have a hand in an image like holding something sometimes, or we always include our packaging. I believe the packaging is allowed. So like we always, like we design packaging specifically, and we'll use PickFu for this. So we'll use result page and then work on designing packaging to get the things like which one of these items would you click on, be most likely to click on before we even launch the product. And so we'll test the package in green or red or blue or whatever, and try to get contrast and get people to click through and make sure that we include that packaging in our main image. But yeah, I mean, certainly this main image is against terms of service to have whatever the hell that is in the bottom right. I mean, that's a bad image because I don't even know what I'm looking at. Is that like vanilla beans or something? Or I don't really.
Yeah. So
is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to kind of pull this one up. So, when you say Amazon's guidelines in terms of service, right? Amazon, this is me reading it and kind of like I'm an attorney kind of looking for different loopholes.
Yeah.
It actually says the product itself, nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, this is the product. It might be the end result or the flavor of the product, but this is an ingredient, is the product, right? Now, if you were to show, sometimes what people will do, well, they'll show like a finished drink next to it, like in a shaker sometimes. That's where it's a little bit touchy for me, or even something like this. I still think this is pretty good because someone who likes chocolate, this is saying clearly what it is, even though it doesn't say chocolate on here. The flavor doesn't say chocolate on here, but they're showing a chocolate bar over here. So I guess that's why they added it, because it doesn't even kind of show here. But this gives you that stickiness of, I like that flavor. I don't like that flavor. I don't want to buy it, right? But a lot of people are doing these post edits and getting away with it. And I think it's just overall a good thing to do on Amazon. You see this one keeps, here's a good one right here. This is showing the final result. And you would think that, hey, Simply Vanilla, they're showing this and they're showing the end result, and it's probably not going to be okay. And they're doing 6,000 units over the past 30 days. So if Amazon really had a concern about that, I don't think they'd be at this level of doing this. And it's not a cheap price point either.
No.
But again,
like the thing is, like, okay, is this thing against terms of service? Absolutely. What's going to happen if they get in trouble for it? Amazon will take the image down. That's like the worst case scenario, right? So like, again, there's like a lot of things that I look at, like, because again, we do similar things to this, kind of push the envelope a little bit. But the worst case scenario for these types of infractions are image comes down. It does affect your sales for a few days as you have to re-upload images, because they'll get rid of your entire image stack and replace it with theirs, and it's kind of a mess. And then you got to go through support typically to get their images reset, because like their contribution overrides yours and blah, blah, blah. But, that's the worst case scenario. So we do it. What we don't do is like ask for incentivized reviews, because the repercussions for that is your account gets shut down forever.
Yeah.
So, I think that there's different levels of things that you can work on. And, if you go back to these, to that results page, if you click back and look at, look at that row right there, like, how do you stand out? Right. I mean, it's like, what are you going to do to make your product be the one that gets the click?
Yeah.
As you're quickly scrolling through, because it all looks the same. It's like same, but different. Like, I'm looking at the price, 35, 38, 36, 39. They all have tons of reviews. Like, which one's the one you're going to click on? Is that flower in the bottom left there going to be the thing? Probably not. I would use something else, but certainly the glass with the shake in it, I think, is a great idea.
Yeah.
That gets my eye to kind of gravitate towards that one. And I feel like I'd be more likely to click through that. And so, that would be something that I would test in PickFu, and, try to find the image that's going to get the highest likelihood of getting a click through. And again, if Amazon were to, take it down and smack you over the wrist or whatever, it's no big deal. You just create another image or even try again.
Yeah.
So,
but I think, like, take Garden of Life. I think I referenced them before in another podcast, because they keep on coming up, because I always go to the supplements. But you see, like, the cap over here, Mike. Like, this is a post edit, 1,000%.
I mean, it's smart. I mean, I think that's something you can easily get away with, because it's like, how are they going to kind of prove it, kind of thing? But yeah, obviously, I mean, that is a post edit. I mean, they could probably try to do at least a little bit better job and make it less obvious.
Put the ridges on it a little bit, right?
Like, something, like, I mean, at least try. But
they're doing 10,000 units over the past. I mean, Jungle Scout's saying more, about 16,000, right? But they're doing about 10,000 units, or 10 to 15,000 in the past 30 days at a decent price point, right? So they're seeing the value. I call this dead pixel real estate space, because if you don't have anything up here, then you're just wasting. It's like having a billboard that has an empty area.
Yep.
So they're putting the value prop that's might not be typically down here, but this one is. But now this is bigger up here. 5 grams of fiber. Like, I didn't see anywhere where that's on here, but that's important enough. Or BCAAs. Don't even know what that is, but someone wanting it, probably it's important to them.
Yeah.
So taking something like this, when they say new and improved, that's probably not a post edit, because it looks like it's actually on there.
Yeah.
I always tell brands, like, I didn't know you before, So you tell me you're new and improved, it doesn't really mean much to me. So I would say take that area to do something a little bit better. One thing that I always tell people is if it's made in the US and it's a consumable, show me that,
Yeah,
because that's going to
100%.
help me be a little bit more comfortable in what you're doing. So if I took this one, for example, and let's say I'll save this image and we'll do a little Canva action in a second. But yeah, typically with consumables, like, have you ever dealt with brands yourself with consumables, or more often not?
We have not done consumables.
Yeah, but as a shopper,
Oh, yeah,
would
as a shopper, I definitely, buy consumables, and, I don't want a consumable that's made in China. Like, I'm
yeah,
I'm fine with any other type of product made in China, but, I think that there's a little bit higher level of safety,
yeah,
uh, with a US manufacturer or a Korean manufacturer or something like that. Um, and yeah, I agree. I mean, I would definitely throw an American flag on there,
yeah,
made in the United States. Most likely it is made in the United States. A lot of these
yes,
things kinda have
yes.
to be. Um, you know
So when I take something like this, and Mike, have you ever used Canva before? Like, what's your go-to? You're like an Adobe guy. Obviously, you probably have a team, or what's your
Yeah,
process like
my
with
go-to is to ask someone on the team to do it.
that?
I am not oh gosh. Make me laugh and then start coughing. Um, yeah, no, I can barely draw hangman, so, like, I am not the one to be doing this, but I have used Canva before.
Yeah, Canva is great. I mean, like, you could take something like this, right? And let's say, okay, this is the before, and we're going to kind of affect like the after. So coming down here, you don't want to inundate it with too many kind of logos and stuff like that. But Canva has great stuff. So made in USA, we'll just assume for, I agree with you. I believe it's made in the US. But taking something like this, right, and then kind of pulling back out to C, pulling back in, and then even something so far as like, it's going to be a little bit down and dirty version because I don't have the original file, but just putting it like this, right? And then a cool trick that I tell people with post edits, because just like that, it kind of looks like it was just stuck there. But if you go here and you take the transparency and you hit it with like a 70 to 80, you can see the difference, right? Like, it
Mhm.
looks like a little bit faded, like it's part of it. But
Yeah.
you can see even from here, the red, white, and blue sticks out. So I often tell people, if you don't have the room, you can even just do like the flag itself. It says a lot. So, us doing something like this, and then what I can do is, Canva has a million different elements. I could just put white powder. That's kind of sketchy to put in the Canva. Uh,
Oh,
the
man.
government's looking for me now for like some. But going to something like this, right? Let's say this was white, for example, and you can edit the image, drop the background, and then I can go to this, right? And obviously you want size ratio and all that kind of stuff to be good, but you could even put it in front of it like this, right? And again, this is not um, white. Hopefully I can find a white one because that's going to be a little bit better of an example.
Maybe this vanilla one might be, like, a little off-white.
Maybe,
Like
yeah.
that, yeah.
So we'll keep it like that. Yeah, we'll go with
Yeah.
that. So vanilla like this, right? So now, if you're looking at the SERP, right, what's more appealing to you, this or this, right? This because I don't like that made in the US. Let me fix that. And Canva has like a lot of layers. You can grab the layer. Let's get rid of that one, and we'll go made in USA.
You can do a circular one and put it up in the top left like the new and improved and balance it
Yes,
out.
yes, 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 yes. Mike, I think we're going to hire you as a graphic designer.
Uh,
You got a new gig. But let's do something. No, that's kind of cheesy. I'm getting stuck on this because I love Canva. Let's do something like this, right? Actually, no, this one was pretty cool because it has me in the USA right there. I kind of like that, right? Um, so let's do something like this. And again, in Canva, you can't wrap it around the bottle. So that's something you
yeah.
typically would need to do with like Adobe. But at least with this is giving some additional transparency because I now know all the value props about it. I now know that it's made in the US and I can see the product itself, right? So if someone was wondering, should I do this or should I do that? You go to PickFu, right? So I'm going to download this, download 2 pages, and then I'm going to go back to my art browser. I'm going to go to pickfu.com. little hack I found out that you can just go to pickfu.com/ask. Build from scratch. Okay. Write your question. Which would, if you were shopping on Amazon, hold on. If you were shopping on Amazon, which would you click on to purchase and why? Okay, very kind of simple. Go to the next step. Okay, what do you want feedback on? So I'm going to add my photos in here. Where did my downloads go?
I think you should use that picture of Ian as a third one. People, if it was a woman shopping, they would be more likely to click on that one.
I didn't save it. That's why. I'm the silliest goose in the world. Hold on. Okay, here.
If anybody's watching this for the first time, you're about to be blown away because this is really cool.
Yeah.
Because in 5 minutes, we're going to have an answer, and it's pretty amazing.
It is super, super cool. Okay, so we'll do this one here. I just dragged and dropped it. And then I'll do this one. Oh, no, I have to add another option, I think. Nope. Add more options. There we go. Paste to read. And then we're going to go here. Okay, next step. And you can see I have the totals over here as well. So we're not going to do a random audience. We're going to do a targeted audience, and we're going to build out who we're talking about, right? So we're just going to affect right now Amazon Prime subscribers. You can drill down even further. So if we're talking about people that are certain age, homeowners, dog owners, if we're kids, anything like that. But for the sake of time and stuff, we're just going to focus on Amazon Prime. And the audience size. So you could do like 15, 50, 100, 200, 5 million. No, I'm just kidding. We'll do 15. Actually, let's do 15 for speed. But you could do more than that. And then free stuff over here if you want to know some more stuff about if they're a coffee drinker, travel frequency, all that kind of good stuff. And over here, confirm the poll. This is what it's going to look like. Everything looks great, or Gucci, as my son likes to say, because he's 9 going on 17, apparently. Okay. Wait a minute. Why am I not signed in? Hang on. Okay. Womp womp. I gotta let me take this off for a second and sign in and do this.
I think you should share the password.
Do you want the password? Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me share Mike's credit card with everyone real quick. No. But yeah, let me do that. Actually, Adrian, you're on the back end. Can you run those two in a poll? Because I'm, for whatever reason, not logged into Arc. And I was sitting here talking about how great Arc browser is. And
does it work with 1Password?
It does. I don't know why. It does, but it's not doing it for me.
Save as a draft if you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna let me send this to Adrian. Really,
send him the images.
Yeah.
So after you do that, we can share out another feature of PickFu that I love, which is that Amazon listing builder, because then you can throw that in an Amazon listing and make it look like an Amazon listing with the stars and the title and everything, price.
Run this, please. The joys of a live stream. It's okay. What are you going to do? But talk to me a little bit more while we're doing this too. What are you seeing people are doing as far as new businesses on Amazon? Do you see that most folks are starting to get into Amazon again, or launching new brands, or do you see more people selling what they have and kind of focusing, like, where's the landscape for new brands and new sellers on Amazon that kind of you see?
Yeah, I just came back from Seller Summit. Was in a mastermind talking about this, and the theme between Seller Summit and E-commerce Fuel this year was struggle. A lot of people just struggling with margin compression and things of this nature. People that are successfully getting into Amazon or just in e-commerce in general these days are those that have just really great margins, right? I think that's really the differentiator moving forward. The low margin, make it up on volume, traditional e-commerce, which is like, 80-85% of e-commerce sales, uh, is really kind of having a day of reckoning right now because okay, low margin, make it up on volume, great. No margin or negative margin, make it up on volume, no longer no longer equates, right? And you can only raise your prices so much in these highly competitive, low margin niches because um, everyone would have to move like a school of fish in unison or a flock of birds, and that's not the way that it works. I mean, typically, 1 out of 100 people change it. Maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people follow along, and the rest of them don't for whatever reason. They're not paying attention, or they don't care, or whatever. Who knows? Um, and so it just that becomes difficult. So I mean, I really think that if you're looking at getting into e-commerce or Amazon in 2024 and beyond, it really just has to be a game of I have some serious intellectual property and some serious margin or some type of a moat to justify buying something for $5 and selling it for 50.
Yeah.
Versus the buy it for 5 and try to sell it for 25, or 5 for 5 and try to sell it for 20, which has been the kind of the traditional e-commerce people selling on Amazon model. It just isn't working any longer because Amazon has just continued to increase their fees.
Yeah. And do you see that like more commoditized items are going the way of the dinosaur and more product innovative specific IP kind of thing is the new wave? Because I don't really see a lot of people selling pineapple cores,
Hmm.
mandolin kind of slicers, the typical stuff we would always kind of see be the commoditized thing. Like,
Garlic presses.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
where do you see that going? Like that's
Yeah,
it's
man. I
almost
think it's interesting because like, will Amazon always exist, or will these products like they're always going to? I hate using the word always. It's like everything always changes, but for the foreseeable future, like Amazon will continue to exist. People will continue to buy garlic presses and mandolin slicers or whatever off of Amazon in droves, right? So like Amazon sales for these things are not going to go down. So it means that someone's supplying them, but the someone supplying them is going to be closer and closer to the manufacturer themselves because now the private label sellers like less and less needed. First, it was like Amazon helped get rid of or cut out the middleman, which was always like the wholesaler, the distributor person. So that's now gone. Well, now like the private label person, I think, is kind of getting squeezed out. It'll go direct to factory or direct to a seller in another jurisdiction around the world that doesn't have to worry about insurance, doesn't have to worry about taxes, is living in a much lower cost of living place, um, et cetera, et cetera. And so, yeah, I do think in terms of like business models, it's going by the way of the dinosaur or the dodo bird. But in terms of Amazon and making money and selling those products, I don't think it's going anywhere.
Mm,
I think that like slowly but surely, people like me who have been selling those types of products or eventually going to have to realize that there just isn't enough meat on the bone any longer. And so you got to switch to these. I love talking about my friends who I was just helping get on Amazon last month. They drove from California here. They have a product that they buy for 3 and sell for 33. They've been selling on their own website to this point. It's all intellectual property. It's a card game.
nice.
So like no one can copy it. You can copy the concept, but you're not going to copy their exact game. You're not going to copy their branding. They spent years doing all this, and they're crushing it with like not even any reviews yet. They're already selling 1,000+ units a month in month one, ranking number one for the term. They sent outside traffic, all the cool, all the things we talk about. So I think those types of brands have a lot of runway, but like you have to have those types of margins. It's like 11x
Yeah.
what they buy it for. Excuse me. So, is there still room to start on Amazon, be successful? Absolutely. But it has to be those types of things. You have to have really good brand equity, brand story, good margin, and something unique that people want, that they're willing to pay. I wouldn't say top dollar for it because they're not overcharging for the product. It's not like it's a Gucci or some type of name brand where it's just like you're looking for uh, you're looking for because of that. It's fair market value. It just, what's ended up happening with like globalization and all these Chinese goods dumping into the market is we're buying all these things for like below market value, and we've gotten so used to it that you don't
Yeah.
even realize it anymore. But it's basically below, it's below market value what it would cost to make it in the US. That is for sure.
Yeah. And I think, a lot of the times, when someone says IP, like intellectual property, I think that's a very strong thing to have. I hold a couple of utility patents myself. I think that I don't make any money off it. It was a company that I used to work at, so it's just for title only. But I think, where do you feel like an inventor or creator of product falls when they have a utility patent versus design patent? Because I know from my experience, it's a lot more substantial for the utility, and you can license it out and you have a lot more strength over the hold over it. But with a design patent, you change the littlest thing and you're okay with it. Like, what have you seen with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm never personally gone after either. We've done, copyright and other types of IP, trademark, etc. But I think in terms of selling on Amazon, like either one is probably fine. Like, I mean, you just need to get over that bar to be able to defend yourself, right? And so, like, if you have a patent, whether it's design or utility, you can use that through brand registry to kick off somebody that has a like product to you. And most people are just going to go away, right? They're not going to be able to fight it and come,
Yeah.
and there was the one time I actually had to sue somebody, which, everyone loves to sue me. Over the years, I've been in business for 20 years now. It happens. It's like on a 5 to 7 year cycle. Someone comes out of the woodwork and tries to sue you for something. But I did have to sue
That's
somebody.
where you're doing something good when people
Yeah.
sue. Right?
It's always like frivolous BS crap that like doesn't ever go anywhere except wasting your money and time. But we did sue someone once over intellectual property because they wouldn't go away. Like, we tried nicely. They had stolen our gel pens and color palette and everything, and we're like, you got to stop selling these. And they basically said F you, and we're like, we're going to submit this to Amazon and get you removed. We prefer not to go take these drastic measures. We really you should take it off yourself and come to an agreement with us. F you. Send something to brand registry. Brand registries took it down within minutes. It's amazing how quickly they respond to these claims. They were down for a week or two, and then they hired a lawyer that fought it and said, we're not violating any type of intellectual property. You should put us back. And so then Amazon came back to us and said, you have 7 days to either file a lawsuit and submit that to us in order to keep their product off of Amazon until the lawsuit's resolved. Or if you don't, products coming back online. So they forced us. We had no choice. We had to sue them.
Yeah.
And of course we won. Well, they settled with us, but like a court, I mean, they were wasting their time. But the point of the matter is that, like, we're able to play whack-a-mole really easily because we had some intellectual property versus having no intellectual property and just watching all these people copy your product and sell against you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So,
and I think a lot of people try and, if you can get a design patent, if you get a utility patent, fantastic. If you can't, yes, design patent or any kind of patent is going to be better than no patent. But it's just interesting that when someone copies you, right? Like, I used to work at a long time ago, cell phone accessory manufacturer, where I got that utility patent issued. And I can't even tell you, it's a higher price item. It's like $30, but there's a slew of China direct knockoffs, and even because it's a Korean product, even Korea direct knockoffs, right? But it doesn't phase them. They don't let it bother them. They're just like, okay, it is what it is, because they have their brand gated on Amazon. So what do you think of that, and how does someone go and actually obtain gating their brand on Amazon, like an Apple or a Nike? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's awesome. I'd love to be able to get to that level, to be able to get Amazon to provide me that kind of protection, but they don't care about little Mike Jackness. So
no.
That sounds like a fantasy to me.
Yeah. Well, what have you seen? Like, Amazon actually, does it just take sheer sales volume, or what does it take to get your brand gated on Amazon?
You know,
What have you seen?
I think it's probably, volume, maybe having the right contact, not maybe what who kind of thing.
Sure.
Maybe you have a history of people with counterfeit products, and you've done transparency and done all the other things that they ask you to do, and you can make a case that they need to help you and gate it. But I have not had luck with that. To be honest, I've never had anything come to that level. We've been
Yeah.
pretty lucky. Like I've heard some serious horror stories, right? Like I know what can happen. Obviously, when you run EcomCrew, or you do tons of podcasts or go to tons of events throughout through the years, and all the MDS stuff, like you hear everything. I was talking to someone about this the other day. I think that, like, in some ways it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me, because like you hear all these horror stories, even though they're very fringe. You start to you hear them in disproportion. So like you think of like all these things are going to happen all the time, and realistically it most likely won't. But yeah, I mean, like some really bad stuff like this happens, and certainly I've heard the worst of the worst. But for us, we've had to play a little bit of whack-a-mole here and there. We've had some fringe things happen. We had the story I just told you happen. That's like the few and far between things over what 2009 years now of selling on Amazon. It doesn't really happen to us that often. So we're not selling supplements or the highest competitive items. I mean, I think that almost all the time when I hear about these horror stories, they're in the top 1% categories.
Speaking of supplements, we have the poll round. We have the results.
Well, I think we should have done 50 responses instead of 15, because it's not quite conclusive enough.
It's for the speed of the podcast.
I'm being sarcastic. It's 15-0.
It's 15-0, right? So we ran this, and technically, what you want to do, guys, for anyone watching this, you'd want to do your original version versus your competitor. Get that data as to why you're better than the competitor, or why the competitor is better than you. Then you want to optimize it with this, but in this way we're showing you just this or this. So if you have both of them, how do you run with it? It's a landslide. I don't even think it's called a landslide. If it's a shutout, is shutout rules, right? The reason why is it's made in the USA flag, actual what the powder looks like, more details. I see what I'm getting. I like seeing the powder, the USA flag. So even though it's not a huge call out, right? It's very, very subtle, but it resonates with them because it's a consumable, like Mike, you were saying before, right?
Yep.
The packaging has the country origin indicated, helps build trust. They have the known manufacturing company, right? So it's like no one picked this one, and this brand is doing huge business on Amazon every single day, with a couple of tweaks of an image and a couple of PickFu polls to understand what to tweak and how to do it. You could increase your CTR, and that's going to increase your potential chances for add to carts, conversions, and subscribe and save, especially in the supplement category. A lot of the stuff is subscribe and save, right? So Mike, what have you seen? My biggest addiction push. It sounds like I'm talking about something sketchy. Focus.
You were just getting powder images. So,
I know, right? This is a very interesting episode of the podcast. This is a very Narcos. But I'm very big into pushing CTR. Right. For me, I think it's more advantageous for you to affect your main hero image and to get more compelling clicks on the overall SERP and landscape on Amazon before you dump a ton of money in ad spend, right? So I talk to a lot of PPC agencies, sellers that do PPC, and I tell them, are you testing your creatives before you do? Oh no, I had my designer do it. They spit out the brand ad, they spit out the display ad, they spit out the product ad, top of search product ad, all this other kind of stuff. And then you take a look at it, and I see them live. And like, I was just at the pattern show 2 weeks ago, and we took a look at Destiny was shown from Better Media. We looked at some Nestle ads that were, brand ads at the top, and 1 out of the 3 weren't even Prime eligible. One was just in a plain brown box, and there was no typography. So, where do you see do you see a CTR as being high on your list of priorities when it comes to optimizing your image or optimizing your listing on Amazon? Like what's like the Mike Jackness checklist of like, okay, this is done, this is done, this is done. And it is CTR kind of in that.
I mean, for me, CTR is the number one thing, right? So, I mean, think of it this way: like, it doesn't matter how good your secondary images are, your enhanced brand content, well, the number of views doesn't matter because that's on the homepage. But all the other things that you do to your listing, all the copy, etc. If you can't get someone to your listing, they're never going to buy, right? And so, step one, click-through rate, get people on your listing page. Then you want to work on converting as many people that get to that page as possible. But step one always has to be getting more people to your listing page. And, when you looking at something like this supplement that's selling 10,000 units a month, I know this sounds crazy, but it's not unreasonable to think that this could bump click-through rate by 5 or 10%. You could end up with 500 to 1,000 more sales a month from that 6 minutes with the work that you just did.
Yep.
Especially when you're talking about these higher volume products. But that isn't the whole story, because as your click-through rate increases, now your conversion rate should stay the same in theory. Now I would go as step 2 to this, go optimize the rest of my product images and increase my conversion rate as well. So that would be step 2. So that would be second thing down Mike Jackness's checklist. But just for shits and giggles, I mean, the click-through rate increases, and you just had these additional sales, and so slowly but surely, you're going to rank a little bit higher for a whole bunch of organic keywords. It'll take some time, but the flywheel will slowly spin that up. Your PPC costs will drop. So either A, your PPC costs will drop, or B, you can bid more, and get more sales for the same number, of dollars spent. And these types of changes, it might not make a difference overnight, like I said, but like over 30, 60, 90 days, you can go back and pinpoint this change and be like, wow, like this was, pretty significant. And we're looking at, our click-through rate and session percentage, conversion rate, as KPIs for every item that we have, and we run a running spreadsheet on this, to keep track of it, because they're very important metrics.
So I tell people, take a look at the SERP, right? A lot of people get very focused on the specific product, but overall, like if you were selling turmeric, supplements, right? If you take a look at what the status quo looks like, right? Pure is very plain. That's how they kind of stand out. But everyone else is typically in that orange and yellow and showing it outside and showing the ingredients. So if I was going into the turmeric, kind of category, I might not want to double and triple down on orange or yellows, right? And this is important for the ideation phase of like testing your packaging before you even develop something on Amazon. You could go to PickFu and test the packaging, right? 100%. To make sure, like, hey, I sell turmeric. Do you prefer it in this or in this, right? So BioSchwartz, they have this one, but maybe, for example, and they're doing about 40K, units a month. It's a monster in the space, bestseller, all this kind of stuff. But in reality, how can you compete with these guys? Sure, you could, right? What you'd have to do is, from the SERP level down, I see turmeric and curcumin, whatever it is, right? But I don't see everything else that's on here. But see, these guys, I'm seeing, and ginger, 2,400 milligrams. It's very, very clean and clear and purposeful, because if I click on this, which I'm not going to, because I don't want to cost anyone any ad spend, but they should be organically here. Let's take a look. So once I actually go here, then I could see 1,500 milligrams. So see, they're not 2,400 milligrams. They're only 1,500. So maybe that's why they're not doing a huge call out like these guys that are saying it's 2,400. So they understand the value prop that they have is the dosage or the milligrams, right? So maybe if I was coming in this space, I would say, okay, these guys are doing 30K, these are doing 40K, they're doing 2,400 milligrams. Could I do 3,000 milligrams and still be competitive enough with them, right? And that would be my value prop. And how I would one up these guys is I would show the pills outside. How I'd one up these guys is maybe a different colorway, you know? So I think it's important for people to understand, like with PickFu, you can do this throughout the entire phase and all the stages of, product development. Because, if I was to switch and to go to, melatonin, right? It's going to go from orange to purple.
It's funny.
Because everything is purple in sleep, So on the opposite, if I was doing, you see how these guys, Nature's Bounty, I mean, that's an old company, old brand. They've been around forever. They stick out not by any purpose. It's just that's their color, is their brand is green on their bottles, right? But everyone else is trying to do the purples, the sleepies. If it was me developing that, I would run PickFus on which color packaging resonates with you the most for melatonin, right? Whether it's a darker purple, a lighter purple, maybe like a black with gold for like a night sky, or maybe a blue or something like that. You want to be able to stand out on the syrup. See, these guys are blue. This caught my attention right away. It's a pattern interrupt from the orange, the sea of purple, right? How do you feel color psychology plays with like stuff like this?
Oh, big time, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, so what we'll do is take a picture of this syrup, send it off to our designer and say, like, produce me 3 to 5 packaging ideas that contrast as much as possible with the existing items on this page.
Yeah.
And then we'll run that on PickFu and, take the top items. You can do that Amazon builder thing. We'll usually use 8 items. And just be like, which one would you be most likely to click on? Same type of poll that you did. And we'll keep on playing this game until we find the one that where our product wins in that race.
Yeah. So I think that, let me pull up, can't type. So, Adrian was just mentioning our templates. And I think that that's something super powerful that we have. So you don't have to guess and think, oh, am I doing the right poll? Am I doing the right strategy for this? We have pre-made templates built out for pretty much everything, right? So Amazon competitor test, learn why buyers prefer your product or the competition, the page review, the product variant testing. That's a huge thing, especially for people that are doing multiple colors, right? So, Zule Kitchen, I automatically go to Aaron, right? Like he has, the milk frother in black, blue, green, orange, purple, yellow, the Roy G. Biv, all the colors, right? But if a brand is looking to get into that, is it best to start with all these colors, or is it not? Like which color resonates with your audience, right? All the way down through, even not just, Amazon, this is for, app developers, publishers, business, right? So I was just talking to the team this morning. We were, my wife and I were driving, and there was a new restaurant on Staten Island. The sign said chicken, and then a little logo said Zinger with like some sort of icon, and then it said burger. And I was like, what is it? Chicken Zinger burger? Is it Zinger chicken burgers? Is it Zinger's chicken and Zinger's burger? Like it wasn't clear, right? So it's just another way for someone to test readability for your business, signage, your logos, your collateral, anything that's being sent out there. You want to make sure you check. It's always test before you invest, right? Because it's hard to pay for something, advertising, signage, collateral, logos, just for someone, a month later to be like, oops, that's not how it's supposed to be read, right? Like that there's a type. The worst is when I find a typo in an Amazon listing that someone paid an agency to create for them. That's super painful when I'm reviewing ASINs or anything like that, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not how you spell color, or that's not how you spell they, and they're like, oh, I had an agency do that. So I know we're winding down a little bit here, but since we talked on that, how has your view of someone getting into it working with an agency or bootstrapping themselves, and when do you feel that someone should make the leap or maybe not take the leap to going to like an agency?
An agency to do what though? Like specifically, because there's like all kinds of things you can hire an agency to do.
Full service, right? Let's talk about a full service agency to do either your PPC and your creative and your SEO. Let's just talk full service, because that's typically where I've come from, and I see a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty well known in the industry for saying this. I mean, I am not a fan of agencies. I think that if you're going to be selling stuff on Amazon, like this is your core business. Like you need to learn how to create listings yourself, do PPC, et cetera. The challenge with agencies, and there's some good ones out there, but they're hard to find, and it's even harder to find ones that do good work over a long period of time. Because what inevitably happens is an agency starts typically with a guy or gal running it, or a partner, maybe, so it's two people, and they do all the work to begin with, right? And they do an amazing job because like they are subject matter experts. They probably are starting this agency because they were sellers before, or they worked in another agency and they're like the top performer and they went off and did stuff on their own, whatever it might be, and they're freaking awesome. And so they do a really good job for the couple clients that they have, and then they do such a good job that they start to get referrals. Like those people tell people, and those people tell people, and those people tell people, and all of a sudden they're just overwhelmed. They have more clients than any one or two human beings can handle, so they got to start hiring people. And they start hiring people. The people they hire are most likely not going to be anywhere near as good as the original people, right? It's hard to find good people, and so then they pass you off to them, and eventually the relationship kind of degrades. I mean, that's just kind of what I've seen over time with agencies. And so for me, I'd rather learn how to do PPC. Like to me, it's a core competency that I need to know. I'm running an Amazon business. I shouldn't be just handing this off to an agency. And if agencies are listening, they're probably mad at me for saying this stuff right now. I say this all the time. I'm sorry, but like it just this question comes up all the time. It just came up in the mastermind I just did at Seller Summit. Someone brought this up. They're like, I need an agency to do XYZ. And I was like, you should do it on your own. And like everyone else in the room like chimed in. Yeah, same thing. Like we've done agencies, like we've been burned. Like don't use an agency. Like it's never worked out well for us. I mean, and again, there are some subsets of a couple of things here and there where I do know there are some good agencies, and I'm not coming on the agency model in general, because I mean, there are brands that like they're not Amazon first, right? Like they're just like that Nature's Best or whatever, that one supplement they were just showing in the green bottle.
Yeah,
it'd be a good example of like they probably have an agency like doing it for them.
Yeah.
Right. Because like they're a huge multi-billion-dollar, $100 million supplement company, and they subbed out an agency to get them on Amazon because it's just another channel. That's probably where agency is a fit and makes the most sense. But even then, they probably would be better off realistically hiring an internal team to do Amazon for them. But
sure.
I am not a super huge fan of that, and I think SEO, off Amazon SEO is like an even more dangerous thing to hire an agency for, because they're typically trying to push the envelope of results, because they know that most clients are looking at ROI after 60, 90, maybe 120 days, even though you're telling them this is a long game thing. They want to see traffic for their thousands of dollars a month, and that's impossible to really produce that quickly. And so they're having to do some type of black hat or at least gray hat thing to jeopardize your brand in order to keep your business. And so I don't know, like I think these are the types of things that you should do internally, but you're also talking to someone who has been in IT and marketing since 1996. Show my age. And so, it comes naturally.
Was it the IT or the marketing in 96?
IT.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably the stronger of the two. I think that you want to have longer than.
Yeah. I mean, that was what I started doing, right out of school, and so
I think where I was in 96. I was starting high school.
You're not that much younger than me, though.
Dated you. But awesome, Mike. Listen, it's been a pleasure. I mean, we're at time now. It's been a pleasure having you on, man. I love speaking with people that love PickFu, that really grow their brand, and I think it's important how you talked about empowering people to do it yourself, right? Because you can do it, and you need to do it, and no one's going to care about your business more than you will.
I mean, look at what you just did. Like you freaking open Canva. Like anybody could do this, right? And in a couple of minutes, made an image that drastically outranked the original image.
It's literally that easy. And for those people, and I don't know if you know about this, because I don't know if I told you about this yet. For those people that don't want to deal with it, we actually have this now at PickFu. So we have our done for you services, and one of them here is improve your main image CTR. So if you don't want to play with Canva, if you don't want to have to run polls yourself, we can do this for you. So we can take your image before, we can have our graphic designers run all the polls before, during, and after, do all the graphic design work and make your images better. Before and after, 46% increase in votes. What we need from them, just basic assets, and we're doing competitor analysis, poll variations. So, hey, does it look better like this or does it look better like this? And that's a big difference in what a traditional creative agency or full service agency is going to give you. What they're going to typically do is just, hey, this is what you have. Well, we'll make it better by doing this. And here you go. We're going to run with it. There's no data behind it. There's no logic usually behind it. So with us, we're doing all that for you and giving you the show me the PickFu, right? Like back like when Carfax was a thing, show me the Carfax. I want more people to say, show me the PickFu, show me the data as to why you made the packaging look like this and why you put the American flag. Because now once the data is there, you can't argue with it. You can argue with a lot of things in 2024. It's very hard to argue with data.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan. I don't know if you guys want to throw the link in there. I'm a huge fan of this new service you guys have. This is not an agency. This is this is still, you're kind of doing it on your own, but you get someone else that's a subject matter expert in a thing to do like a one-off thing for you, right? And so the thing that's really cool about this is you guys supply the graphic designers, which is a very difficult resource to pin down in this industry. We've had just a massive struggle over the last 10 years, like finding good graphic designers that are consistently reliable. So for $500, you're getting someone to create all the images for you, run the polls, rerun the polls, recreate some more images. They keep on iterating until they give you the final result. Then they hand you the image and you just go apply it to your account, right? And so you're still doing, some of the work on your own, and you can see the before and after results, but like someone else can do all that other heavy lifting for you. I think it's one of the best values that we've run across in a long time in the e-commerce space. And, if you went off and try to do all this on your own, you would end up spending way more money because, it's tough.
And it's super interesting you say that, because I've worked at agencies before, and finding graphic designers that are consistent with the same branding, with the same talk track is very, very hard. You find a good graphic designer, they get promoted, they leave, they're a VA, they're a freelancer, right? So we have a team of graphic designers that are on par with what I talk about CTR and main hero image optimization. And I think that's when you have the knowledge and the SME paired with the people that are actually executing on it, is you get something really, really good. And it's not stopping at the main hero image. That's kind of the flagship, the barrier breaker kind of thing. But we're also doing just main hero image. We're doing full image stack, right? Optimization. We're doing A+ standard optimization. We're doing premium A+ optimization. And even we're doing brand story module. So anything on that product detail page that can be optimized for better, more compelling, more drool-worthy, click-worthy graphics, our team's there to do it. So yeah, man, Mike, it's been a pleasure, and I'm glad you're excited about it too. I love when people get excited about things that we're doing. It's
awesome. You guys are doing cool things, man.
Yeah, we get to geek out. What's your next thing? What's the next latest and greatest coming from you? Where could people find you? Do we have to go spend money in Vegas to go visit you? And see what do we have to do?
Oh man, you can make money in Vegas. What are you talking about? All you do is come here and win. So.
I have a love-hate with Vegas, and I'm near Atlantic City, so it's kind of like a mini Vegas for me. But I stay away from roulette tables because blackjack, you lose your money instantly. Like, I'm convinced. I don't know how someone spends like time at a blackjack table, because it's just like, there goes my money. But roulette, I call it my donation. Right? Whatever I'm going to donate, and then if I leave with a little bit more donation, I win. But if I don't leave with my donation, I've already donated it. So what's your typical game when you go to Vegas?
Well, I live in Vegas.
Well, I know,
So
but when you actually go to, you don't go to the
I'm the
casino
opposite
every
as you,
day.
man. I play blackjack. I'm a pretty good blackjack player. And my thing is, I'm like a hit and win player. Like if I get up in the casino, I'm out of there. Living here, you gotta be careful. It could suck you in pretty quickly. So we pretty much never, like my wife and I, just go by ourselves, or certainly by myself, like to gamble. It's usually friends are in town. I
Mm.
use that as the excuse to go play. Um, and I play pretty close to perfect blackjack strategy. I have the little card memorized, or very close to memorized, and
Oh
I can
man.
actually count cards a little bit as well, especially on a double deck. So whatever, they don't care. Um,
Because I want to sit next to you next time I go to Vegas. You're
well,
gonna
then it's a little obvious if I'm telling you what to do specifically, but I don't know. I've done okay. Like, I mean, and roulette is just a slow grind. If you're there to have fun, it's one thing. But um, and the other thing I love is craps, but I try not to play it much anymore. It's a very tough game to win at. It's
no idea how to
you
play
know
it. I know they play it in all like the Bond movies, and the villains are always gonna.
yeah.
I have no idea how to play it. I know you roll dice. That's about it.
You're probably best off never learning, because it is the meth or crack, heroin, whatever of the casino. I mean, it is the most exciting game in there by far. Uh, it can be incredibly addictive. It can be incredibly fun when you're winning, like any other game. But
Yeah.
um, it's again, mathematically, it's a tough game to win at, because you're leaving so much money on the table when a 7 rolls, no matter how you play. So it's just it's tough.
All right, so let's not do that. But Mike, that was a great segue. So where's the next place people can find you? Are you going to any more shows? Like what's next on your agenda?
I think I'm done for the year on the shows. I've been trying to do fewer and fewer of them. I'm down to 2 a year, e-commerce fuel live and silver summit. So those are in the first half of the year.
Mhm.
Last year I also flew out to India and spoke out there and did a couple other shows.
Oh, nice.
But I don't know. Like my wife's like, you're getting to be an old curmudgeon. I'm like, I guess so. I just don't enjoy the traveling as much anymore. Going to the same cities over and over and over again.
Wow.
I want to go travel for pleasure and not for work. So I'm trying to gear up to do some type of epic trip towards the end of the year for
Nice.
personal travel, and not do something for, because there's always so much time that you can really be away from home, right? And so
I have 3 kids and a dog, so
yeah.
when times are away, that's okay. Like they're a little bit kooky over here. So.
Yeah,
But
I hear you, man.
next time anything lands in Vegas, we're definitely gonna meet up.
Yeah, look me up, and then anybody out there listening, go check out EcomCrew, EcomCrew.com, on iTunes, on all the socials, etc. Tons of free content out there. Go check it all out. That's where we document everything.
Awesome. Mike, again, thank you so much. And guys, if you're watching, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We do this every week. We're here grinding, putting in the time, getting the all-star people here to give you the knowledge, give you the motivation, give you the insider tips, tricks, and secrets on how to leverage things like PickFu and AI and lots of other tools out there to help you with your business and your space. Oh, we got EcomCrew is the best on the last minute right before we're about to pull out. So that is
it's the anonymous guy, LinkedIn user.
Yeah, Mike, that's you. Take your notes.
It isn't me. I personally hate LinkedIn. All I get is spam on that damn platform. It's
LinkedIn
nonstop. I mean, I'm thinking about deleting my profile. What do I actually get out of it?
If you think I'm an ARC advocate, I'm a big LinkedIn advocate for sure.
Oh, really? Oh man, you have to tell me why later. But
Yeah.
It's just nonstop, about my employee retention credit, my help me hire employees or whatever. Help me with my fire prevention plan. All kinds of anybody that can. John.
That's not John from. John Lee. Oh, I was gonna say it's not me. Oh, that's John, one of the co-founders. You got to fix your settings, sir. You're showing up as a LinkedIn user. But all right, guys, listen. Awesome. We're gonna see you next week, Mike. We'll chat again soon. Thanks again, man.
Appreciate it, my friend. Bye, everybody.